Level 1. The Wool Merchant's Son. You were born in 1451 in Genoa, a city-state on the Italian coast, salt-smelling and loud, built on the trade that moves through its harbor. Your father is a wool merchant. Your family is respectable, but not wealthy. There is no reason, looking at you at birth, to expect anything remarkable. You go to sea at 14, without formal schooling. You work on merchant vessels in the Mediterranean, learning navigation by doing it, learning cartography by making maps with your brother Bartholomew in Lisbon. You sail as far north as Iceland and as far south as the trading forts of West Africa. You survive a shipwreck off the coast of Portugal in 1476, floating to shore on wreckage after pirates attack your ship. You are building an idea. It begins with a problem every European trading power faces: the land route to Asia, the Silk Road, the overland path to Chinese silk and Indian spices that made fortunes for those who controlled it, has been closed since the Ottomans took Constantinople in 1453. Portugal has been sailing south around Africa to reach Asia, but you have a different idea. Sail west, reach Asia from the other direction. Everyone you show this plan to will reject it. You spend years making sure they are wrong. Level 2. The calculation. You are in your 30s, your plan is based on a calculation, and the calculation is wrong, which you do not know yet, and which will define everything. You have studied the maps of the Florentine cosmographer Toscanelli, the writings of Marco Polo, and the estimates of ancient geographers. You have concluded that the Earth's circumference is significantly smaller than the accepted figure, and that Asia lies roughly 2,300 miles west of the Canary Islands. The actual distance, with an entire unknown continent in the way, is closer to 12,000 miles. Every expert who examines your proposal tells you the same thing. The ocean is too wide, the voyage too long, no ship can carry enough food and water. They are not wrong about the math. They are wrong about what is in between. You take your plan to Portugal's King John II, rejected, to the governments of Genoa and Venice, rejected. In 1486, you go to Spain and present your case to King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. They form a committee. The committee spends 4 years deliberating and recommends against it. You wait, you lobby, you refuse to leave the Spanish court. Finally, in January 1492, the Spanish army captures Granada, the last Muslim stronghold in Iberia. The Reconquista is complete. The treasury is strained, and the monarchs are suddenly interested in new sources of wealth. They summon you. They agree to fund the voyage. You are 40 years old. You have been trying to get someone to say yes for almost a decade. Level 3. The Ocean. It is August 3rd, 1492. You depart from the port of Palos with 3 ships, the Santa Maria, the Nina, and the Pinta, and 87 men. You sail southwest to the Canary Islands to catch the trade winds, then west into open ocean. No European has done this before. There are no charts for what lies ahead. The crew grows uneasy. Days pass, then weeks. By early October, some men are close to mutiny. The logs you show the crew are deliberately falsified, recording shorter distances than you have actually traveled, so they do not realize how far from home they are. You tell them land is close. You are not sure that it is. On October 12, 1492, a sailor named Rodrigo de Triana aboard the Pinta spots land. You later claim the sighting for yourself, which means you receive the royal pension that goes with it. You have landed on an island in what is now the Bahamas. You name it San Salvador. The people who live there call it Guanahani. You call them Indians because you are certain you have reached the Indies, the islands off the coast of Asia. You note in your journal that they are gentle, generous, and would make good servants. Level 4. The New World. You are still 40. You spend the following week sailing through the Caribbean. Cuba, which you insist is a peninsula of China. Hispaniola, where you establish the first European settlement in the Americas. Your flagship Santa Maria runs aground on Christmas Eve and is dismantled to build a fort. You sail back to Spain with gold, parrots, and 10 indigenous people you are bringing as proof of what you have found. You arrive in March 1493 to a hero's welcome. The Spanish court greets you with ceremony. Ferdinand and Isabella ratify your titles: Admiral of the Ocean Sea, Viceroy, and Governor of the Indies. Everything you find, everything you claim, you have been promised a tenth of it all. You have sailed west looking for Asia and found something else entirely. You have no framework for understanding what it actually is, and you will never develop one. Level 5. The Colony. You are 41. Your second voyage departs in September 1493 with 17 ships and around 1,200 men, not explorers, but colonists, soldiers, priests. The mission has shifted from discovery to conquest and settlement. The fort you left behind on Hispaniola has been destroyed. Every man in it is dead, killed in a conflict with the Taino people after the Spaniards' demands for gold, and women became impossible to tolerate. You build a new settlement. You impose forced labor on the Taino population, requiring every person over 14 to deliver a set quota of gold every 3 months. Those who fail have their hands cut off. You are a brilliant navigator and a disastrous administrator. The colony descends into chaos and brutality under your governance. Spanish colonists write letters back to the crown complaining about your management. Disease tears through the Taino population at a rate that has no historical parallel. Within 60 years of your arrival, a population that may have been 250,000 will number only a few hundred. None of this registers to you as a failure of your mission. You are looking for gold and a route to the Asian mainland. You have not found either. Level 6, the mainland. You are 46. Your third voyage in 1498 takes you further south than before. On August 1st, you sight a large landmass, the coast of present-day Venezuela, where the Orinoco River pours into the ocean with such force that the surrounding sea runs fresh for miles. You write in your journal that a river this large could only flow from a continent. You call it the other world. You speculate that you are near the Garden of Eden. You do not conclude that you have found an entirely unknown continent between Europe and Asia. You conclude that you have found an appendage of Asia that the ancient geographers simply hadn't mapped. When you return to Hispaniola, you find the colony in open revolt. The settlers are furious about conditions, about your brother Bartholomew's governance, about broken promises. The Spanish crown has sent a new governor, Francisco de Bobadilla, to investigate. Bobadilla arrives, assesses the situation, and has you and your brothers arrested. You are sent back to Spain in chains. Level 7. The Chains. You are 47. You arrive in Cadiz shackled, your titles stripped, your authority gone. Ferdinand and Isabella receive you in Granada. They are sympathetic enough to release you and restore a portion of your income, but they do not restore your governorship. Hispaniola will never be yours to rule again. You are still convinced you are right about everything. You write letters explaining your calculations. You develop an increasingly messianic view of your own mission, citing scripture, describing yourself as divinely chosen to carry Christianity to the ends of the earth, proposing to use your share of the New World's wealth to fund the reconquest of Jerusalem. You spend 2 years lobbying the court for one more voyage. You are aging, ill with arthritis, and increasingly difficult to deal with. The court finds you tiresome, but they agree to a 4th voyage, with strict instructions. Do not stop at Hispaniola. Find the strait that leads to the Indian Ocean. Level 8, Jamaica. You are 51. Your 4th and final voyage begins in May 1502. You have 4 ships and your 13-year-old son Ferdinand aboard. You reach the coast of Central America and sail south along Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama, closer to the Pacific Ocean than any European has ever been, though you don't know it. You are looking for a strait that does not exist. Your ships are eaten through by shipworm. By June 15032 are unseaworthy and must be abandoned. You beach the remaining 2 on the coast of Jamaica. You are stranded. You spend a year on that beach while your crew deteriorates, fights among themselves, and stages a mutiny. You negotiate with the local indigenous people for food, and when they stop providing it, you consult an almanac, calculate that a lunar eclipse is coming on February 29th, 1504, and warn the islanders that God will punish them by taking away the moon. When the eclipse arrives, they are terrified and resume trading food for tools. A rescue party from Hispaniola finally arrives in July 1504. You return to Spain in November 1504, broken in health and still petitioning for the restoration of your titles and income. Level 9, Valladolid. You are 53. Queen Isabella dies in November 1504, days after your return. She was your most consistent advocate at court. Ferdinand, now ruling alone, has no interest in your claims. You spend the last 18 months of your life in Valladolid, writing letters, filing legal complaints, and insisting on rights the crown has no intention of honoring. Your health is failing. Arthritis so severe you can barely move. You have reactive arthritis, historians believe, possibly from an infection contracted on one of your voyages. You are wealthy enough. Technically, you have income, a house, servants, But the titles and the tenth of everything you were promised have never materialized and never will. You still believe you reached Asia. You still believe that, on your fourth voyage, you thought you were sailing along the coast of the Malay Peninsula, the coast of Panama. You were within 40 miles of the Pacific Ocean, the ocean that actually separated you from Asia, and you had no way to know it. Level 10. The name on the map. You die on May 20th, 1506, in Valladolid, Spain. You are 54 years old. Very few people notice. There is no state funeral, no celebration. The court has moved on. You are buried in Valladolid, then Seville. Then, according to your wishes, the New World, your remains were shipped to Hispaniola, then Cuba, and their final resting place is still disputed between Seville and Santo Domingo, both of which claim to have them. The continent you found is not named after you. A German cartographer named Martin Waldseemüller, working from the published letters of the Florentine explorer Amerigo Vespucci, who made it clear he understood he was looking at an entirely new continent, puts the name America on a map in 1507, 1 year after your death. Vespucci grasped what you could not, that this was not Asia, that this was something that had no name yet. The Columbian Exchange, the transfer of plants, animals, diseases, people, and ideas between the Old World and New World that begins with your first voyage, is arguably the most transformative event in human history since the agricultural revolution. The potato, the tomato, maize, chocolate, tobacco, moving one direction, horses, cattle, wheat, and smallpox, moving the other, continents transformed, civilizations ended, a new world, in every sense, created. Your name is on a country, a district, dozens of cities, a river, a university. The holiday called Columbus Day is celebrated annually across the Western Hemisphere. Statues of you stand in squares from Barcelona to Buenos Aires. You died believing you had found a shorter route to Asia. You had actually found 2 entire continents unknown to Europeans, triggered the greatest exchange of life and death in recorded history, and set in motion the modern world. You never knew, and now you are history.